Good evening, everybody. It's David Schlotthauer here in the live studio, keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Erin for Wednesday evening on the 15th of August, 2025. As you know, here on the latest satellite imagery. By the way, if you guys are new and have not been here before, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, sharing this video with their family and friends on social media, as well as ring the bell icon as you will get all tropical updates, including live discussions like this. So here's a look at the latest GOES 19 true color visible satellite imagery on Tropical Storm Erin tonight. It is showing signs of getting better organized. We have a very well organized CDO, or convective dense overcast, that we have. We also have a little bit of banding features here right now, as indicated on the imagery to the north of the system. When we actually zoom in closely and look at the infrared satellite imagery, we have had some pretty explosive thunderstorm activity, convective activity down just to the south of the low-level center, which does indicate we do have a little bit of northeasterly shear hitting the system from the north side. There also has been quite a bit of lightning activity on this. So yeah, if you're a boater, if you're out here cruising along, which hopefully no one is, there is quite a bit of lightning on Erin tonight as this continues to move off directly to the west at 270 degrees at about 16 miles per hour. There have been some notable changes as far as our track guidance forecast goes, and we're going to run it one by one tonight. We are getting our hurricane models involved. Then we'll be looking at some aircraft data, as we need to look at their schedule tomorrow, because they are going to also be flying into the system, helping to feed the model, or feeding data into the models to make them more accurate. So the first model that we're going to look at is the halves A model, and then we'll look at the halves B, because there are some concerning trends, and I hate to use the word concerning in this live stream, but it is worth noting here that there is still a decent spread, but also some of the models have trended further west today. So this is how the halves A handles Erin over the next, say, 24 hours. It does try to develop an inner core here with winds that are on the order of about, say, 50 to 60 miles an hour. So again, a tropical storm here. But it is also worth noting that if we can get any deep convection that is able to wrap on the upshear side of the system, that will also help to make for some tropical storm force winds to spread all the way around this center that you see here. Because as you know, when you get convection, it helps to transfer the momentum from higher levels in the atmosphere down to the surface, and is able to mix down those tropical storm force winds into lower levels. Now, the big uncertainty here is after this point, whether or not the hurricane or tropical storm, or Erin in this case, is able to intensify at a very quick rate. There have been a lot of uncertainties still in the intensity forecast in today's update from the 18Z that we received just a bit ago, showing us that a hurricane here is very possible by Thursday night. So, so by Thursday night, I want to make sure, wow, it's 30 hours out. We do have, again, winds that are 84 to 85 miles per hour. And this is very compact by all means. In fact, so compact that this is not very far from the center. And we are seeing hurricane force winds and barely any tropical storm force winds away from that. So this is a very compact system by all means. Now, after that point, though, is when the compact nature of this does make it susceptible of rapid intensification, as we see here on the halves A model. So by Friday afternoon, in about 54 hours, we have a major hurricane with winds that are about 115 miles per hour here. You can see the donut here indicating that winds are greater than hurricane force here. And you can also see, again, very, very compact. Yeah, this whole, this whole red area right here, that's tropical storm force winds. Yeah, it's very compact. So what ends up happening here is it remains compact, but then it starts to spread its wind energy out a little bit as it continues to move off towards the north or towards the west northwest. But I wanted to make a big point here in this live stream. This is Puerto Rico down here. So you can see how close this does get to Puerto Rico. Some of the U.S. British Virgin Islands, Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis down here need to be really watching this. Antigua as well as Anguilla really need to be paying close attention because, again, any further shifts to the south. So imagining if the system glides up this way, you know, that might not seem a whole lot, but the difference here is, yeah, your tropical storm force winds are here. They could graze some of these islands briefly by Saturday night. But then after it leaves the far extreme northeastern Caribbean basin here, it is going to track itself towards the west-northwest and then gain latitude a little faster here in about 5 days. So you can see here by Monday evening, by Monday night, this is a very formidable hurricane with winds of over 130 to 150 miles per hour. And I don't say that very lightly. All of this red here is winds greater than 100 miles per hour. And then, of course, your eye wall is right in here, perhaps, where winds could be over 150. So this has a ceiling, unfortunately, up to a Category 4 hurricane. And when we look at the wind gust forecast here, we're looking at wind gusts greater than 170 miles an hour. So, man, this is very intense. This is a very intense hurricane. And what you don't see here on the map very well is there are the Bahama Islands. There's an island chain right here. Yeah, you're getting tropical storm force winds, the inflow of this hurricane. There are some other islands over here, so this is very close, very close. And if you think that's close, or not that close, if we look at the prior run of the 12Z on the HAVS A forecast, you can see that it was just a little further to the east. So we have seen a shift. Now, it's very hard to tell here, but if you keep an eye on your latitude and your longitude up here on the top, so if you look at these numbers right in here, you can see how things change. So if we go back to the 12Z run, this was a little just right around 23 by 70 degrees west in longitude. If we look at the latest run, we're 70 degrees by about 22.5 degrees north. So a little further south here, unfortunately, on this model. And this would mean a whole lot because if it's further south, it means it could go a little further west. And we do not want this to go any further west than it already might end up doing here based on our latest models. Now, looking at the HAVS B forecast here, you can see where the track is. Again, take note of that hurricane. Very powerful system. But interestingly, it falls apart a little bit here on the HAVS B versus the HAVS A by Sunday night or by Saturday night into Monday morning. And then it tries to regroup itself once it gets to the north of Puerto Rico. And here you can see winds of around 140 to 150 miles per hour also. So there is very high confidence on the HAVS A and B for a while now, along to go with our other hurricane models. If we actually look at a couple more here, let's do this. Let's go to the H Wharf. This shows something very similar. You can see winds of right around 120 to 130 miles an hour. So again, a high in 3, a low in 4. If we look at the HMON as well, we can see something, again, quite similar, except this is a little wonky here on their image. I don't know what happened here, but also showing winds here at around 120 to 130 miles an hour. So all 4 of the main hurricane models explicitly showing now a Category 4 hurricane in about 4 days or so, actually 4 to 5 days, plus or minus a day, which is really concerning. So when you look at these global models, oh, it's not that intense, David. Well, you got to narrow things down. So it's like a funnel, yeah, it's pretty much like a funnel. So you look at your global models for a while, and see where it's going and how strong it's going to get, then you have to really narrow things down here on our hurricane models, because they're much high resolution. They are trained specifically for hurricanes, unlike our global models. You can even see here with the halves A, look at that inner core structure here. Very, very intense eye wall. Looks like it might be going through a little eye wall replacement cycle here towards the end, which is seen with very intense hurricanes. So yeah, this is a system we cannot ignore yet. Even so, there is a 90% chance this is going to stay offshore for right now. The trends further west is what is causing a little bit more concern today, because any further trends to the west could mean all the difference along the East Coast. So let's take a look now at the GFS as far as the track forecast goes, and we'll actually be looking more at the intensity. So the GFS here in about 57 hours does explicitly show here this would be a hurricane with winds of about 75 miles an hour. If we look at prior runs, this has shifted a little bit further to the west with its actual track guidance. If we go forward in time here, you can see that the system is a little further north than what the hurricane models explicitly show, but it is also our outlier here. Fortunately, in this case, so it avoids the land masses of the United States and Bermuda. And in fact, it goes in between cleanly throughout this part of the Atlantic. However, though, Bermuda would be getting tropical storm force winds with that inflow, that southerly flow, but nothing like hurricane force, which, by the way, the GFS does forecast a category 4 here in about 162 hours. So about 7 days. It is thinking that this does become actually a little sooner than that. 156 hours, the GFS is predicting a Cat 4. So that is all 4 models explicitly showing that right now, Cat 3, Cat 4, in today's in this evening's update. So what about the Euro? Now, this is what really got me into live streaming tonight, because the Euro has been really, really concerning, especially in its latest complete model run. Now, I don't really trust the 18Z model very much. Not that, oh, it shifted a little further east. We want to get that weather balloon data. We need to get all complete data fed into these global models so we can better see where this is going to be headed. So when we take a look here at this model, you can see clearly, I did show this in today's video, so I want to kind of briefly breeze through it, but you can see how close this gets. And the advantage to these live streams are we could actually zoom in. Let's go to North Carolina. Oh, shoot. Okay, that's not going to work. Let's go to Virginia then. Can Virginia get us a little further out? There's no Virginia. So let's take a look here at the East Coast of the United States. And you can really get an idea how close this is. This is Cape Hatteras right here. Those are tropical storm force winds in about 9 days. Okay, so we were thinking that, oh, it's going to be probably on Monday or Tuesday next week that this is going to get close. Now it looks like it's going to be Thursday now. The timing keeps getting put off later and later here. And in its latest model forecast, oh, yeah, see, that's why we don't use the 18Z. It doesn't go out that far, so we will have to wait for the complete run. But this is still 9 days away. 8 days away, not 9 days. Corrected myself on there. So 8 days. A lot can change between now and 8 days. Now let's take a look here at the artificial intelligence model. This is showing, again, a similar track, basically out to sea. And I did want to make that clear that even so, we all know this is going out to sea, all right? But how close does this get? Okay, is the question. And the trends today were to bring this a little closer to the United States of the East Coast here. So that is why I am live streaming tonight, because I want to see if our 0Z models either go west or east from where they're at right now. Okay, that's why, again, we are live streaming tonight on this. So let's take a look now at our Canadian model. That's a model that I'm a little concerned, or not as concerned about, but it's an outlier now. It's like all these models did like a flipperoo. The Canadian was further west early on. Now it's further east later on in its forecast. And it does show this making a landfall or a close call with Bermuda still. So the fact that we got the European model over here, we got the Canadian model over here, means there is still uncertainty to be worked out here in our models. But this does show a hurricane regardless. That is a 100% chance that we will see out of this storm, is we will see a hurricane, and a major hurricane, in fact. Now, looking at our 0Z icon is coming in. So we will give you the update once the 0Z comes all the way in. So as we play this through, you can see clearly that this strengthens very, very quickly. And look at how close this actually gets also to the United States. Very similar to our European model, which is slightly further to the west than the icon, and does show winds here of over 110 plus miles an hour. And the central pressure here, by the way, is down in 921 millibars in its forecast on its 12Z output, which equates to a Category 5 hurricane with winds of 160 miles per hour. So this really has a high ceiling, and it's a matter of how strong this gets, because if it's this strong offshore, you could surely bet that there is going to be some pretty serious coastal impacts. I mean, life-threatening, deadly rip currents, and maybe even some coastal flooding. Even so, the hurricane is offshore. So consider that too if you are planning to stroll the beaches by the middle of next week. So let's go over... Okay, the mid-Atlantic, that's what we want. Or actually, wait, let's go over to the east. There we go. So when we take a look at our surf forecast, or our wave height, our significant wave height, let's play this through. You can see, look at these waves right here. This is a big time threat right here. So I know a lot of people are really hyper-focused on the winds. That's all a hurricane is. No, it's not. You could have rain with this. You could have some very rough surf. I mean, waves here along Cape Hatteras could be topping 40 feet high. We're talking 40 feet high above mean sea level with these waves. This pink here is 50 feet high. So this would be a really, really big wave producer along the east coast of the United States, and even Florida as well. So pretty much from about here all the way up the eastern seaboard and the northeast, you could see some big time coastal impacts, including coastal flooding, as well as pier damage, jetty damage. If you have a boat, you own a boat, you live on a houseboat, you need to be aware of this. This is pretty significant. Even so, much of the winds may miss you, not the surf at all. So consider that. Now, significant wave height. So some of the breakers with this storm, with Tropical Storm Erin, this could generate some monstrous waves. Take a look at this. This pink area is 50 feet plus. And I hate to say it, I want to make sure I'm reading that correctly. Is that 99.4 on there? 101.0 feet? I think I'm reading that right. Maybe I'm not, but you guys can confirm with me, because I always like for you all to confirm to make sure I'm not going a little over the top with this. At the end of the day, we want to be honest over here. So maximum individual wave height from the Euro, I want to make that clear, the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting predicting in this purple or in this pink, we're looking at 50 footers, but somewhere out here where the center passes over, 100 footers. That's like a tsunami. That's like a tsunami out there with as this hurricane moves through. Now, I think that's a little on the crazy side, but it is to take into strong consideration. Now, surf here, especially from about Cape Hatteras all the way down to the Carolina coast and even Georgia, surf here could be pretty dang significant. Some breakers could reach over 30 feet. So stay away from the ocean pretty much beginning on, I would say probably on Tuesday next week. So from about Tuesday all the way through maybe even into Friday and Saturday, just keep away from the water because rip currents here will be exceptional, as well as coastal flooding and other impacts. All right, so I want to make it clear, it's not just about the wind, it's not just about the rain, oceanic impacts, and I really want to incorporate that into my forecast tomorrow morning. So yeah, get ready for a video in the morning at about 3 in the morning. Unless something really changes, we'll see about that. See what the GEFS wave forecast shows. So the GEFS wave forecast doesn't show significant wave height here. Oh wait, yeah, it does. Significant wave height much further to the east here. But even look at this. For Bermuda, where's Bermuda? Maybe Bermuda is not on here, or is it on here? Hold on a second. Man, Bermuda is so little baby tiny here. Yeah, Bermuda is right there. So you're looking at about 30 to 40 footers impacting the little island there. So that would be a catastrophic, unprecedented event for the Bermuda Island. Again, even so, the worst of the winds pass just to your west, not the surf necessarily. Okay. So again, I want to emphasize very clearly here, because again, my job is to save people's lives here, okay? Not to fearmonger, not to scare people. My job is to make sure you guys are safe, because these storms do kill people. There's a lot of lives that are that these storms can have. So just stay away from the ocean. That's all you have to do. Next week, depending on the closer this gets, the higher the surf is going to be, and the more deadly the rip currents are going to be, especially if we deal with a Category 4 hurricane, which would be absolutely historic for the East Coast here of the Carolinas. In fact, if this just passes off the coast of Cape Hatteras, even if the eye wall comes on shore, that would be an unprecedented event to occur. So with that being said, let's take a look now at our steering pattern. This is extremely, extremely important and absolutely essential in everything with this system. And it is so essential that it could mean the difference between a landfall over Cape Hatteras and a landfall over Bermuda or just to the east of Bermuda. So what you're looking at here is the height anomaly, and why we are using this is we can differentiate between upper level ridges of high pressure and troughs of lower pressure. And this is the 500 millibar steering, a great important aspect to all of this. So now, over the next 12 hours, this system is being guided by this deep layer ridge to the north. That's what we know for a fact right now. But as we go forward now, it is very uncertain on how much of an erosion will take place with the subtropical ridge. Because as you know, the players on the field are this upper level trough up over here in Hudson Bay. That's what's going to be in there. We have another upper level low pressure center off of basically Newfoundland. Yeah, that would be off of Quebec in Canada, well offshore actually in the North Atlantic. And so what this ends up doing is it erodes the western flank of the subtropical ridge. So you can see that man, I'm just stuttering tonight. I'm just sputtering my mouth. So what we end up having is this ridge that's in place. We have another ridge right here, and you have a trough that's anchored like this. So the alleyway of escape would be, in theory, off to the north here, but the system is still being guided this way as this trough is trying to get out of harm's way, and this doesn't really have much of an influence until later in the forecast. So what ends up happening here in the next, actually, let's do the 12Z. Because the 12Z is going to show us a little bit because it's complete data, weather balloon data. So that moves out this trough has had time to come here and move out of harm's way, because now you have this upper level trough upstream of the environment to yank this out. So now what we have here is an upper level ridge over the Midwest. We have another ridge nosing in across the western half of the Atlantic. And so there is competing steering factors here. If this goes a little further south, this trough is a little further north, this trough is a little further north. That allows this ridge to nose in even further. So instead of our system trying to go out to sea, it might get a little closer to the coast and then finally turn out to sea where, yep, we have residents that live along the eastern seaboard. So that is taken into consideration here. But here is a little bit of a twist to the forecast. There are differences on how this plays out. So this is the European Ensemble 12Z output. This is the 12Z output of the GEFS ensemble. I'm not looking at 18Zs until our 0Z models come in tonight. And so what we have here, basically, let's go out to day 5. So there is a notable difference here with the GEFS. So if we look at the Euro, this ridge is notably stronger right here. You can follow. In fact, let me turn this off. So let's follow this ISO line. This is a height line contour in decameters. Okay, so this is about 588, so 5,880 meters in the atmosphere. So we got that mid-level ridge that is pretty strong. We have another ridge right here anchoring itself across the Midwest. So these two areas are really high on the European model. Let's look at the GFS or GEFS. What has changed? Look at this. This ridge here, especially over here. Let me make this dot this out. So there is your 500 or 580. Oh wait, that's not your 588. This is your 591 decameter height contour. So 5,910 meters in the atmosphere. But your ridge over here on the GFS is pretty well established. So it's really this ridge off to the east that the Euro is thinking that will be stronger. But also there is differences with this trough as well to its northeast. So if we kind of look back here, let's just kind of go back. The GFS, the GEFS, the Euro ensemble, GEFS ensemble. So we're going back and forth, and you can see the GFS ensemble has a stronger trough overall over here. If we look at the European ensemble forecast, we have a weaker trough, and it's further to the east at this point. We have a weaker trough that's digging into Newfoundland and the Labrador of Canada. This ridge over here is a little stronger just by a little hair, and this ridge that we just talked about is also stronger. So what ends up happening is this alleyway has a less influence of a feeling on our system down here to the north of the Dominican Republic. Of the southwestern Atlantic. So that's why the Euro has trended further to the west on this over the last few runs. And let me just show you that. So last night's 0Z forecast had a little bit of a weaker ridge over here across the eastern seaboard. But look at the ridge. It's a little bit further to the east here over the Midwest. So if we look at different runs, we can see why our system would be a little further to the west. Also, this ridge is notably stronger too. So we got to keep an eye on how fast this retrogrades, because I will be honest with you, this is going to propagate this way over time. It's going to come out of northern Africa. This is what we call a isotropic ridge. Okay, because it has to do with a lot of continental heating at the surface. And so when you have a lot of hot temperatures, you get higher pressure, you get a higher level of height contours. And so some of that heat comes off of Africa and then it propagates this way. And so the timing of how quick this is able to race westward at the time of where our system is here is going to be very essential. All right. Again, we could have tracks, and I'll show you the ensembles here in just a little bit. We could have tracks that are still right off the coast here of Cape Hatteras versus tracks that are still to the east of Bermuda. Now, the only thing I will be honest about in this live stream is I am mostly confident, not completely, that this will, in theory, it being the center, okay, the impacts don't get any lesser. It being the center does not make landfall, but that does not mean your impacts will not be an issue. Okay, we will still be seeing some big impacts. Just the degree and magnitude will be dependent on how close this gets to the eastern seaboard. So here's a look at the DeepMind Google AI model, and we can see different ensembles putting this out right now. And this is the 12Z output. Do we have our, let's see. Okay, we don't have our 18Z forecast in. Let me make sure. Yes, we do. So we have our 18Z model forecast out, and this is still, again, this could shift quite wildly, still again, well to the east or somewhat to the east of Bermuda. But look at how close this gets. Still quite close to the eastern seaboard of the East Coast. And you all are going to tell me that, dude, this is going out to sea. There won't be impacts. If that's how you want to think, then that's up to you. But I will tell you, I've been doing this for over 4 or 5 years, actually over 6 years. I remember tracking Irma, Maria, Michael, Laura, as well as Harvey, Dorian. Yes, I have my experiences on all of this. And right now, I do not expect a landfall. Okay. That would mean the difference of this staying this far away from Cape Hatteras or making a landfall here. I mean, it's really not. This will be a fish storm, and I wanted to show you some comparisons here. So if this never makes landfall, and this goes the center, it being the middle of the storm in hypothetical sense, it would be a fish storm, right? Everyone is going to say, oh, it's a fish storm. It never made landfall. But look at where the impacts would be. I mean, all you need to get is an eye wall, a powerful eye wall that orbits, that moves onshore, something that looks kind of like this. So imagining this being your eye wall. I know, well, let's make a circle. Let's draw up a circle, some illustration here, with why you just can't assume a fish storm is not going to bring anything. So if we look at this right here, this is going to be your eye wall in theory. Well, gosh, my drawing tonight. So this would be your center, your eye wall. Say your eye wall is like this big. I don't think it would be that big, but you get the idea. Just because the center is offshore, well, your eye wall would be onshore. That's where your strongest winds, the most devastating impacts occur with a hurricane. People like to focus the exact center of a hurricane is actually calm, but that's not the worst the impacts will be. It really isn't. All right, so before we look at our 0Z icon model, I did want to show you all the sea surface temperatures out ahead of this puppy. Going to be very, very warm. Water temperatures in the upper 80s, between 87 to 89 degrees Fahrenheit. This is very concerning ahead of our storm. And let's put it this way. If this tracks even further to the west, water temperatures are even warmer than they are overall over here. So that would really, really be a problem if this got very, very close and then made the turn offshore, which, by the way, if the center stays offshore right here, away from Cape Hatteras, and it does not move over these cooler water temperatures here off of New York, this could still be a very powerful storm, even so it moves offshore, something like that, because it's moving over still very warm waters that are over 27 degrees Celsius. Your water anomalies here, your sea surface temperature anomalies, that is 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. So we have a whole bunch of heat release ahead of this system that we will have to contend with. Now, I want to move into the intensity forecast because there is a little bit of uncertainty on how strong this could actually get. There is a ceiling on this, which, by the way, I want to, sorry to interrupt, Peter Moss, thank you for the $5 donation. Check the 0Z icon. David, it's even more alarming. Okay, we will actually, you know what? Because of the $5 donation, your paid programming has been interrupted by the icon model. Let's go to the icon model right now. It's even more alarming. I don't want to hear more alarming because that just means it's probably a lot closer to the land, which again, we do not want that. We do not want that, of course. Let's see how close this actually gets. Okay, 71 hours. Okay, it hasn't rendered all the way out yet. But this is further south. Oh, shoot. All right, there are tropical storm force winds. Tropical storm force winds, perhaps, over some of these islands now. So Puerto Rico, don't want to be sleeping on this. Do not want to be sleeping on this. So this is further west. This is further west as of this model run. Right now, that is, we do not want to hear that. This is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate by all means. In fact, if we look at where the icon was, let's again do our dots, like our connect the dots. There is your 12Z run. Actually, here is your 06Z run. Here is your 12Z run. Here's your 18Z run right here. So we'll make a little dot there. And here is now your 0Z run. Oops. Somewhere in that area. Gosh, I cannot even locate it. It's right in the same spot. So this has trended a little further to the south, and that would really make all the difference. Besides, actually, this may not gain hardly any latitude at all. This is still south of 20 degrees north. And remember, our whiskey plot in general to get an East Coast storm doesn't work all the time, is right in here. If I got this down correctly, so it is right in here, so to speak. So it is right in the inner box of that. So in theory, if I make an early projection, this could go really, really, really close. I mean, it's going to be mere miles away from Cape Hatteras. Now, the only thing I will believe right now is the risk for Florida being impacted by winds, not likely, just surf. But up here in the Carolinas and Cape Hatteras, yeah, you don't want to let your guard down just yet. So we will return to that model once it has finished rendering. So let's get back to our hurricane models, because everyone wants to know how strong is this actually going to get, because strength is everything with this. You know, if it's weaker than what models initially thought, this could go further west, and we do not want this to go any further west. We don't. We really don't. For Pete's sakes, we do not want Puerto Rico or the U.S. British Virgin Islands getting impacted. And this reminds us, look at how things can change in 24 hours. We were thinking yesterday that, oh, this is going out to sea. We had that consistency going for a while, and look at what we got. Well, back to the west we go. We'll see if that sticks on our icon model once it comes in. So the whole drill going forward is we do have a lot of this drier air off to the west, all right? Some of that drier air is mixing it or making its way into our circulation. That's why we have this going on right now. All of this pulsating convection, we're not seeing much banding futures right now. There's a lack of banding on the eastern side of the system. We have more banding over here, more banding over here a little bit. So there is still some northeasterly shear hitting this, which is why we are seeing trends to the south a little bit more tonight. So now the question really remains, when is this going to gain latitude? Because it has not gained latitude as what we first thought. So right now it looks like it will hopefully, and hope in itself is not the correct word to use, should hopefully gain latitude overnight tonight or early tomorrow morning. But even if that's delayed even by an extra 12 hours, the further south this gets from here on out, the higher the risk could actually be over the East Coast. Not always, but in this case, it isn't too surprising. So let's take a look at what we deal with here with our moisture. So this is in the deep layers of the atmosphere. So you can see a lot of moisture, some rain, some wind, and some thunderstorms over Puerto Rico, maybe some flooding with this system. Because if you get like a little feeder band, some of these banding features that come in like this, yeah, you could get some pretty intense rainfall with this, okay? Boy, did I draw a good little hurricane there with the little swirlies that I have. Gotta give me a little round of applause on that one. Could be a little emoji at this point. And then look what happens. Look at how rich this moisture is way far out from the system. A little bit of a moat region right in here that gets yanked inward. But overall, a very, very moist, unstable environment for this puppy. And I am concerned. I am really concerned about this. Will this become a Dorian? We do not know yet. We don't even have that answer, but the ceiling is very high, up in that echelon of a category 3, 4 intensity. A category 5 is not entirely out of the question given our environmental factors that we are looking at here. So looking at the upper level barotropic flow here at 200 millibars. Okay, so this is where commercial airliners actually fly, 38,000 feet. And why we use this is to determine what our upper level winds are doing. Is there a little bit of shear that we're dealing with? And right now there is a little bit of shear because we are not seeing any outflow from this because it's in the early formative stage, but you would like to see very little light winds around the hurricane or tropical system here, and instead we are seeing a flow doing kind of this right now, moving over the system. Now, upper level winds, even so that you see a deep layer flow like this, that's why if it strengthens, it would gain latitude sooner, but with the vertical wind shear that will stay on top of the system, it does appear that the flow out of the northeast will be over the system for another 27 or so hours. So that's why if this does intensify and produces some very deep convection, this could get tugged a little further south by no means because of this very strong upper level barotropic ridge that the system is creating. Now going forward here out to 60 hours, there is the Lesser Antilles, and the player here to at least cap, to cap the intensity with this hurricane on the Halves A is to get this trough a little closer to the system. Unfortunately, it's not going to get close enough. And you can see this flow right in here impinging, all of this northwesterly flow hitting the system at least on this part of the system. So that's not going to allow a lot of heat or a lot of the heat that these thunderstorms generate to expand surrounding the system. You want a good outflow in all quadrants, something more like this for the system to really breathe out nicely. That looks to happen, though, after about 3 days as it moves underneath more broad anticyclonic flow. Look at this. This is a very volatile environment. You got really, really impressive outflow in all quadrants of where this hurricane would be moving through. You can really see it here. Not much vertical wind shear at all to the north of Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic, as well as to the northwest of Puerto Rico. This is why most of the models are going really, really ape crap on very strong outcomes with this system. And I'm telling you, high echelon category 4 here with winds of 140, 150 miles an hour at this given point. And Maybe other YouTubers are not saying it, but of course, again, I've been doing this for a long time. I have 4 to 6 years of experience here. I've tracked a lot of systems, and I know exactly what I'm looking for here. And so what we are looking for here is this pattern, no shear at all. In fact, this outflow is very, very, very impressive. I mean, good golly. I mean, you got outflow going all the way out towards Florida, out ahead of this monstrous system. So this is really breathing out very good at 5 days. And that's why we expect this thing to really be a big problem. Now, of course, as this goes to the northwest, eventually, and cuts very close to the coast of the Carolinas, there is going to be this little belt of wind. But given how strong this hurricane would be, it could shove all that westerly upper level flow away from it. So it really wouldn't matter here of any little shear increases to hurt the hurricane. So therefore, when we look at the, let's go here. When we look at the deep layer vertical wind shear plot from the halves A, you can see vertical wind shear is fairly light, but please take note, there is a little bit of northeasterly shear on the system over the next couple of days, which is why I am not convinced that this is going to be a hurricane in about 24 to 48 hours, just because of that vertical wind shear that is in place. All because of all because of this little tut, this little tropical upper level troposphere, trough, or tut for short, or what we call a PVU streamer that is in place. So you get flow doing this around it. And so you tend to get these increasing shear values over the system. But look at what happens after that. The vertical wind shear really decreases a lot. However, there is a little bit of shear over the system here, but that might just be due to some noise. Because as you do know here, we do have a good anticyclonic, very light sheared environment over the system. Yeah. So that's what we're seeing. And that's why I am pretty much confident that the intensity here is going to be pretty sky high on the halves A. So right in the nick of time, then we will look at our global models. We're kind of pairing this up in two separate segments here. Model half of the side of things will happen after we get through our discussion. Let's refresh this because this is 8:30 at night right now. So this is 11 p.m. Our chances of tropical storm force winds have gone up, unfortunately, for the islands. Now we're looking at a 40 to 50% chance of tropical storm force winds. And not far to the north, we are looking at a 70 to 80% chance. So if you're a boater, if you're going fishing, please keep this in mind. And it looks like right now, a good shot of tropical storm force winds would be pretty much in this area based on our models. Anything between 40 to 50 miles an hour. The further north you go, the stronger the tropical storm force winds get. I am not concerned about anyone down here in St. Lucia. If you're in Dominica, if you're in Barbados, I am not concerned about you all at all for this system. However, these islands here to the north, though, need to be, you don't want to let your guard down just yet. And yes, there is a non-zero chance that southeastern Bahamas do get tropical storm force winds, and that is seen in our halves models tonight. The arrival time, the most reasonable time of tropical storm force winds would be for Friday night in across portions of the Antilles here, such as if you're on the St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as Antigua, Anguilla, as well as the British U.S. Virgin Islands between Friday night and Saturday morning. So into the overnight hours, you would have to be dealing with maybe some tropical storm force winds. And then this turns out to sea, perhaps. We'll see about that on our latest 0Z model guidance that will be coming in here shortly. And then approaching southeastern Bahamas by Sunday morning. Here is the very latest track from the NHC. And we can see now they are forecasting a major hurricane. So this is coming in officially right now. They're forecasting a major hurricane here by about 8 p.m. on Saturday. Now, again, how far or how close does this get is something that we will have to pay close attention to. It is very impressive, though. They have trended this further to the east now. So I don't know what that is all about, but they're probably seeing something that we did not see tonight, unless, again, our other models come in. So now you're probably wondering, how strong is this? And I would not be surprised if it's at least close to a category 4 intensity. So let's check the NHC right now for this. And let's go and look at our discussion. Yep, there it is. 125 mile an hour hurricane in 5 days. And this is coming in from Blake. So yes, a high-end category 3 hurricane is expected. And again, this could be generous given with what we just discussed. Let's take a look here at our graphics though, because I wanted to see this very quickly about that cone. Did they actually shift it? They actually did shift it. I am very interested in why they actually did that. The icon model is way out over here. Our hurricane models are over here still. So, man, I am pretty dang surprised. I am really surprised. Maybe the GFS, maybe the one to rely on. We shall see. So, David, icon dog. So everyone's telling me to look at the icon. Let's go back. You all are really fascinated in that, I know. So let's look at that. So we got through that part. Oh, I did want to show you really quickly the intensity forecast on our hurricane models. And you can see right here, high-end category 3, high-end category 4 hurricane in about 5 days. So the NHC is right up in here now with its intensity forecast. Here's the track guidance really quickly from the pair of models. And right now, they are mainly aiming to the north. But again, we cannot rule out these islands. Getting to be a close call there. Getting to be a close call. So let's go and look at the models now. Let's look at the icon. Let's see how close this gets. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. No, no, no. No bueno. No bueno on that one. No. I'm going to itch my head. Scratch your guys' head on this one. Man, that is far west. That is much farther west. I would really take the NHC cone into consideration, though. I mean, boy. I mean, even so, the cone is not highlighted out here in the Bahamas. I mean, I would not be surprised if that cone gets a little fatter and extends something like that. I mean, in future updates, can take this into consideration, as they're probably being a little extra generous until they get their aircraft out there. But wow, this is a lot further west right now. And this is the 0Z model. This is a critical model that we are looking at right now. And man, is that over very close to these islands. I mean, you could walk outside and see that hurricane. I didn't rely on the icon. I'm not really relying on the icon, but wow, what a shift. What a shift that was in its latest forecast. Let's actually bring up the icon here on Tropical Tidbits, because I want to compare model runs on this. Because now that's rendering, so we could actually look through 9. Whoa. Hold on, before I look at the pressure. So, oh, this is really bad. So there is the icon in its 12 or 0Z output. So let's go back. 0Z right here. Let's look at past model runs. There is the 12Z run. From, it's 12Z run from this morning, 0Z run. It's kind of in the middle there. So let's go to 12Z from yesterday. Man, in a day and a half, we have really seen a shift with this, notably to the west overall. So we're looking at about a day to day and a half average here of the overall track guidance. Let's go to that's 12Z. Let's go to our 0Z. Yeah, see, it's even further to the east. So there has been this trend now further west. Unfortunately, I really hate to say that. I really hate to say, I don't think the icon is right. Let's wait and see what the European model shows. Because as you all know, the icon model is the German model, which is kind of under the umbrella with the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, and it is a relatively high resolution model. So we really have to take this into consideration. I'm not saying that the icon, I'm trusting the icon 100%. We can't trust one model in these live streams. We have to look at all of these models and take it at face value that, oh, okay, if the icon went west, what is the GFS going to do? What is the Canadian going to do? What is the European and the AFIS going to do? What will our 0Z hurricane models do? That is the thing. That's what we're going to be waiting for tonight. So this gets down and bottoms out at 9:15 millibars. Is that right? Am I looking at that right? That's 9:15 millibars. Easy. Can you confirm that with me? Hello, Easy?
Yes.
That's 9:15, right? Wow.
That is 9:15. That is 9:15.
Oh my gosh. 9:14 actually. Barely see that, folks. 9:14. That's a Cat 5. That is 100% a Cat 5 hurricane. That pressure reading based on pressure, winds, I mean, it's not going to show a Cat 5 with winds, but the pressure, that is very, very low. So I do not trust. Yeah, see, this is turning out though. See, it's already paralleling the coast, but wow, woo-wee, that would produce some big time surf. Big time surf. Probably, if this is a Cat 5, this would produce surf of over 50 feet easily. So the icon though is, it is definitely further off to the west, but now it really will become, when does that northeast turn, like, I mean, if this barreled straight into the Cape Hatteras area, this would be, for one thing, would be history. It would be no, I don't want to get too serious with my words here, but it would be a unforeseeable or unforeseen devastating event for North Carolina if this actually went like the icon is doing, and if this just kind of really just kind of grazed the coast here of Cape Hatteras. This would be very, very bad. It would, I mean, you would get storm surge on unprecedented values. So we are going to need to wait for the GFS, because the fact that our hurricane models went further west, the icon followed suit with that, we are going to need to see if other models copycat the icon and go further to the west as well. Because, I mean, if this gets further west, now it really becomes, I mean, the further west this gets, so like, let's just pretend it goes like really close to Florida, then you would really hope it actually goes out to the northeast here. Because if it goes northwest sooner, then there's not much land in the way of it to make that turn, versus if it goes closer here and goes, I mean, it could be really too late at the last minute. And that is why we really need to watch this. But again, I'm not putting any bets on this. This is one model, one run only, and we look at trends. We do look at trends here. And the trend today has been all of these models going further to the west. Further to the west. And that is all the way done. That rendered all the way out. And that is a Cat 4, Cat 5 hurricane. And that is tropical storm force winds, certainly on Cape Hatteras. That is 40 to 50 knot winds. So that would be, 40 to 50 knots. Yeah, so that would be about 45 to 55, even 60 miles an hour. So even tropical storm force winds, yes, technically it's a fish storm, right? Because it's based on the center, but all you need is tropical storm force winds. That's all you need is tropical storm force winds to cause destruction, right? Surf, water impacts, that's all you need. That's all you need. And look at what we got. I mean, if this gets any closer, you don't need the center. All you need is a rain, wind, storm surge, high surf to cause problems. Wow, we have 1,079 people watching this live stream right now. So if you all haven't already, if you're new and you haven't been here before, slap that subscribe button right now. And also like the stream. We only have 211 likes so far. So if you all haven't been here before and you do like these tropical weather updates, please subscribe. It really helps out a lot. So we're going to wait for our Canadian model and our GFS. Actually, the GFS is rendering. It's rendering, right? Yep. It is 8:45. So it just started to come in. And let's look at if this is further south, because now very short storm motions like matter a whole lot. So let's just do a 9-hour forecast. And this is a little further to the, little faster. I think it's not further north, but it's a little faster. Looks like it's gaining latitude. Very hard to say. Let's see what the NHC says, because that's very important. Because if the GFS thinks it's gaining latitude already and the NHC doesn't see that, nope, it has not gained latitude. It is still moving due west. So the GFS thinks it's moving west-northwest right now, which means it needs corrections. It needs to continue to correct itself. Yeah, see, you can follow the center here. It's going that way, which would put this right close to the islands. Really close. Yeah. By the way, I did watch Mark Sedith's video today, and he did even say that the GFS has not done very good, at least on track, thus far. So I'm not saying the GFS is wrong here, but I mean, you got to take that into consideration. And that's why I want to wait for other models to come in on this system, like the Canadian and the Euro and the AI. Let's actually see here. Now I want to compare the GFS now. Okay, so we're at 21 hours. Let's go to 21 hours. Okay. There we go. Fixed. 21 hours. It is interesting. The icon has it weaker, though, which I disagree with. So we have to see. We got to be careful with the icon. It's not showing it as the GFS is showing. So GFS has strength down really well, while the icon doesn't. But they are in pretty much the same spot. Same spot. So let's just wait for more frames to come in, because that's what we're getting right now. Now, we are expecting this track to the north of the islands. That is to be expected at this point. But what happens next is going to be very essential. Very, very essential. Everything with this system. It's everything.
Hey, David, I'm sorry for interrupting here. I just found some very useful information here. So, a Hurricane Hunter aircraft has been repositioned successfully to the island of Barbados, and there is a scheduled flight for another Hurricane Hunter aircraft to also be repositioned to Barbados at some point in the early hours of tomorrow.
All right. So they are repositioning. So that means there is a risk to the islands, probably St. Croix, I'm guessing. That tells you something. They're they're a bit confident that this could get too close of comfort to these islands. So they're going to have to fly down to Barbados, which is an island right down here. So they're going to fly right into this thing. Going to fly right into that storm. Looks like we might be getting a Hurricane Hunter mission soon. Yes. Please show halves A, please. All right. So while we're waiting, let's look at the halves A yet again. The halves good old A. So the halves A model is definitely showing a major hurricane. And given the fact that the NHC has leaned in that direction means confidence is getting a little higher that this would be certainly maybe a Cat 1, Cat 2. Now a Cat 3 this early in 60 hours cannot be ruled out. Cannot be ruled out, but holy cow, that is a very compact system. And that's the danger about these systems. They are more fragile. They can get steered westward more easily if they're like this versus a larger vortex. And you can see at the end of the run, this is the furthest we can go out right now. And we do not have any new update for our hurricane models yet. But phew, man, I'm telling you, 150 miles an hour. That is very concerning. Very concerning and quite close to the southeastern portion here of the Caribbean. And as always, if this does hit Bermuda, or if this gets close enough to the eastern seaboard, we will be streaming on this. We will be providing nonstop live coverage if this gets close enough to the eastern seaboard on Wednesday or Thursday or even Friday next week. So if you are new and you haven't been here before, please subscribe to the channel. You guys have been doing really good at supporting the channel. Tonight's live stream was probably by far the best. I have not seen moderators out there, including our Nightbot, which we just added to the stream, not needed to hide anyone or putting anyone on timeout. So I want to say a huge thank you to all of you cooperating and having full respect, because when you guys are good, everyone likes being here, right? And engaging with one another. All right, so while we're waiting for more model data, you want to do some talking for us over here? Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Well, goodness. You just called me out there, David.
Sorry. It rhymes. It rhymes.
It sure does. Yeah. Really just waiting on this GFS to really render in. It still looks like that this new run now showing just a tiny little bit more north and a little bit more faster. And this is only, I'm on hour 60 right here. But still just tracking that. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about the halves A in chat.
Interesting.
But really I'm just focusing on the GFS here.
Yeah, we really need to see the GFS, because that's going to be our determinator right there. So it is showing that the system is going to be to the northwest of these islands. But I really am, it's hard to believe the GFS shows the strength really well. But those hurricane models are like, nope, we're not agreeing. Which, by the way, interesting, there is actually another ridge over here at the lower levels. You got a trough here, which I think is why the system's trying to go north, but I wonder if it's going to get bent a little bit back to the west, which we will need to be watching on this GFS. Because you got a little bit You got northerly flow right here coming down, okay? There is your little bit of a weakness in the ridge in the lower levels, and then you got this flow doing this. So the system's trying to get ushered in this way, and then it's with the winds doing this. I'm thinking it's gonna probably bend like this and then go back north, something like that. We will just have to wait, because on the recent GFS, we saw that. Not very much of it, but we'll see if that really appears in this forecast. Okay. Yeah, looks like it's making a slight bend over. A slight bend. CMC is worser than GFS. Yes. GDPS. See, it's what's showing. Okay, that's just starting to render right now. So we got our GFS and Canadian models rendering. Yeah, I'm coughing a lot today. I hate coughing a lot, but it is what it is. So we're going to really need to watch. We're going to need to watch this. That icon literally gave people PTSD over here. Not literally, but yeah, no. You know what I mean by how strong it was. By the way, I want to see what the surface wind on that actually is in final. Yep, that's even showing 120 mile an hour hurricane. Wow. Man, that is a beast. That is a beast right there. And yeah, there's your 50 mile an hour wind gradient right along the coast of Cape Hatteras. That is very close. Very close call. Like, you know, it's almost like you almost got a home run and they have to do a play review. Or no, wait, no. It's almost like that is almost an out, but the umpire saying, oh, that was an out. Then they have to do a play review. It's like really, really close. I mean, it's close enough to where, we're going to need to talk about this as long as the models are like this for several days. Because that right there on the icon is 180 hours out. So that is a 7-day forecast, or just beyond the 7-day forecast. See, that's almost, 7.5, 8 days-ish. So that is still too far out to make a determination that, oh, it's going a fish storm, David. We know at this point it is going to be a fish storm, but how close? That's the question in tonight's live stream, is how close? Yeah, GFS did shift a little further southwest in tonight's model run. A little bit so far to the west. But it is definitely a bit too far to the north versus our hurricane models that are doing something like this. Actually, it's pretty good. I think it's doing pretty well. At this point, should we rely more on the hurricane models? I thought those were more accurate than globals. So we should rely on more of those, but there's a lot of discontinuity between our globals and the hurricane models. And so that's why the NHC's cone is a little wider overall. I think at this point, the GFS could be an outlier. Again, we are just going to have to wait for this to finish rendering. All right, then I will make a conclusion, and my friend Easy and Nate over here will make that conclusion as well. Because the GFS has been an outlier, but is it an outlier tonight? I wish I had the model right now fully rendered, but we can't get it until these frames load in. All we know right now is the GFS could be lacking on intensity just a little bit. Actually, no, it's doing pretty good. Showing a Category 2 hurricane here in 60 hours, which, man, I am really on edge about that. I really am. But yeah, thank you for the $10 donation, Swimpson. I do appreciate that. Thank you, Swimpson, again for the $5 donation. Even the North NHC trended out the GFS. Oh, trashed out the GFS. Oh, yes. Let's see how far. Dude, this is further east. It's further east. Okay. I'm not going to even stare down at the GFS at this point. We're going to need to wait for our Euro and our artificial intelligence. We are going to do the same thing again. It's literally out to sea. Out towards Bermuda. It really thinks that that ridge is going to be weaker. I mean, it's been consistently showing that. And so this is going to be a really big test of the GFS. If the GFS literally is accurate and honest something versus our Euro models. Well, we'll see. If our Euro model trends further to the west, then our Euro or GFS is certainly an outlier. So, yeah. Pay attention to chat right now, easy. But yeah, GFS is drunk for sure. Bro, the ridges have been getting stronger. Let me see the synoptic on this. Let me go out. Let's take a look here at the 500 millibar steering, and I want to see what changed. Yeah, it really thinks this ridge is it's weak. It's actually weaker. It's actually weaker. This trough is a little stronger. This trough is a little further to the south. Yep. Man, it is going to be a big test. A big test whether or not is the GFS onto something. But this ridge really balloons. Look at this ridge really balloons westward very quickly. And that really is going to make a difference on how quick that actually happens. Because now we got this ridge that's trying to balloon, knock this trough out of the way. This trough is trying to come in and keep this break lane of opportunity out to sea. So it's gonna be interesting, but the GFS has indicated now that this ridge is going to be weaker. It's so, yeah. We are back to the Euro versus GFS. Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. GFS versus Euro tonight. And we will make a final conclusion on what our thoughts are tonight. But the icon is setting the role here. It's setting the stage of a big concern. But I did get told by a friend that the icon should not be trusted as much. But again, it's a test for any model out there right now. But the GFS really thinks, the fact that that ridge will be weaker. I agree with your friend. Icon could be thrown away. Yeah. I mean, if we do see a 914 millibar, I will be like, we'll probably be streaming it, even so it's not hitting land. Like just doing a discussion and doing some live tracking for like a few hours if it's going to be that strong. Only time will tell. Exactly. Only time will tell with these models. It's really about what goes on to the north, the traffic pattern. But if you are enjoying the live stream, if you haven't been here before and you like these daily tropical weather updates, including live streaming discussions, this is the second one of the night this week. Man, I've literally pulled 5 of these. Yeah, 5 of these streams. Please subscribe. It really does help out the channel very much. And also like and share this. Also, we do have an X. If you guys want to check out my X page really quickly, yeah, I do a lot of updates there as well on the tropics. You can see how far back I go. So if you want to follow me there on X, it's at Weather United 1 on the good old X. It is also important to note this deep convection right here is moving slightly south of due west. If you look at it very closely, just to kind of do a quick intermission, you look at it very closely, you can see, actually it's moving due west. I think, yeah, it looks like it's moving directly due west right now. It is not gaining latitude like the GFS is thinking, which is why I think the GFS may be a disregard system or a disregard run. I mean, if this goes east of Bermuda, we could all probably say that, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. I think the lane of potential outcome here is right in here. Somewhere in here is where I think the system would likely go. But if the GFS is going to curve this and go like that, I mean, all of you viewers can make that determination. Water temperatures out ahead of this are in the upper 80s. Actually, let's look at that on windy.com. Let's actually look at windy.com over here. Oh, easy. Can you tell them about the moderation team of YouTube as well? I forgot to tell you that.
Of course. If you guys are interested in being on a part of our team for later live coverages in chat, if you look in the description, it's the first link in the description. You can apply to be a chat moderator, and we will be doing interview sessions later in the week. And yeah, if you want to join our team, it's volunteer work only, but you can find all that information out in the application.
Exactly. All right. So yeah, water temperatures actually are not as warm as I thought. See, I have a hard time converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, but either way, 85 to 87 degrees Fahrenheit is plenty warm to sustain a very powerful hurricane. The Gulf is 87 right now, so not as warm as it was nearly a week or 2 ago. Man, we remember those days that it was like 91, 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Bathtub warm. Waters there have cooled down a little bit. So, yeah, we're watching our GFS right now live. Right now live. But yeah, that is definitely a strong hurricane on the GFS, showing a Cat 3, which is definitely very likely at this time. Yeah, this storm for sure is going to be moving more west, Radar Whisper says. Check Icon Ensemble members. I don't think the Icon has any ensembles, unfortunately. I'm so sorry about that. This storm is a bust. We're not calling it a bust tonight. It's going out to sea, okay? But how close is it going to be to the United States? That is why in this title, the title that you clicked this live stream, Tropical Storm Erin may threaten the East Coast now with question mark. Like, Tropical Storm Erin may threaten the East Coast now. You know, it's a possibility. Threat means not likely, or, you know, it's just the word possible. Like, if I threaten to hit or like punch some of you guys, I'm threatening doesn't mean I'm going to do it. See, so a threat is different than like, oh, it's going to happen, you know. It can hit anywhere, exactly, on Nikki, Vamp. That's why we have ensembles, and that's why we are waiting patiently. And you can see theory in theoretical sense, there is the ensemble forecast. You can see where the system's going to go. And it is still close enough to the United States here. Even so it's out to sea, it's going to be close. It's going to be awfully close. But we know it's out to sea somewhere is where we think it's going to go.
David, you might want to check an eye on the new Canadian model and compare it to the previous run. It's pretty interesting.
Uh-oh. Pretty interesting, huh? Ah, further to the west. Further to the west. Yup. And the GFS does not care about that. However, man, this is, let's see where the Canadian has it going though. Still a little far, well, right within where the NHC's cone of uncertainty has it. But I do find that interesting in 54 hours. 54 hours on this. Oops. Central, there we go. Let's go back. 54 hours. Nah, GFS is still further south. The Canadian is still further north. But if the trends are further south or further west, then we'll see where the Euro has it. That's going to be the thing. It's going to be the thing that we really got to keep an eye on. Okay, we have 120 mile an hour hurricane on the GFS. All right, this is still going this way, so that would bring it pretty dang close. And is this further to the west? And no, it's not. Not on this GFS run. Interesting. It just kind of, well, once the airplane data gets in there, once they fly into the system, this will help the models out a lot. Expect big corrections tomorrow, right? They're going to fly into the storm tomorrow. I'm hoping that would be today for some of you. Oops. Let's take a look. Again, 6 hourly fixes on Tropical Storm Erin at 15 Zulu. So that is tomorrow. That is going to be tomorrow. They're going to start flying into there. Into Erin 4. Yep. So they're going to do a P3 tail Doppler radar. You know what that is? You guys want to know what that actually is? That's this. That's actually this over here. So all of the tail Doppler radar stuff, that's right here. That's all of this. Oops. There we go. Yeah. This is what tail Doppler radar actually looks like. And you could actually see, this is a training mission. We actually go down here, go to composites. Oh, these are all training missions. Okay, let's go out to 2024 from last year. And we can go to, oh, that's another training mission right here. This is with Milton, and this is what you will get on the YouTube channel. Yeah, you won't find this anywhere else. You will not find this anywhere else at all. Only here on the YouTube channel, here on the David Schlotthauer channel. That's why if you have not subscribed yet, yeah, we got all of this hurricane data for you guys. And this is Milton of last year. And you can see what it looked like. So this is some pretty cool stuff. Really cool. You can see what it looks like there. Different images. So you will only get that. So that's what the tail Doppler radar missions are. The TDR, you'll hear that a lot. P3, that's Miss Piggy or Kermit. Kermit or Miss Piggy are the two. And so they're going to be planning that. And then let's go to tomorrow for the next day. And this is when they go full house on their missions. So yeah, get used to big corrections on our global computer models. Okay. All of our models are going to correct themselves. I don't know about the Euro. I don't know if this is fed into the European model, but I'm assuming it would. And so they're going to do a mission. Oh, wait. Okay, no, here. So the fixed time. So they're going to do 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 flights. So every 4 hours, or yeah, every 6 hours, they will do that. They will do that. And then the next day, oh, Southern Gulf of America. So they're literally going to fly down there. There's not much. There's not much with that. So they're going to fly into that. Man, they're going to be busy out there. So that's their plan. So yeah, we'll get a lot of aircraft data. One more night of this, of limited data. And I promise we have a light at the end of the tunnel for consistency coming to our division. Yeah, this is definitely going to the north, but it's not turning as sharply as what the GFS showed. And it's a little further, maybe a hair to the west, just a hair to the west. But yikes, that is a big system. That's even showing a Category 4 hurricane. Literally on the GFS. What's the pressure on that? Yeah, 938 millibars. That is a very powerful system. So even the GFS is going pretty nuts on the intensity on this. See what the Canadian model shows. No or yes? Is it literally? It's further west. It's further west. Yup. It is further west. Is it further west than the GFS? At 84 hours out. Let's compare the two. Compare the two. Yup. It's further west. It is further west from the GFS model. Yup. That's maybe we'll see how far west this gets, but if the Canadian latches on to where the icon went, that is concerning. That is very. And then if the Euro catches on to that, then that's even more concerning because now we have 3 models, including our hurricane models, that are headed in that direction, meaning that the GFS might be snorfing up some cocaine over here. GFS is playing catch up like it always does. That's true. Hi there. Which, by the way, Hi there. Watch GFS be accurate tomorrow. Yep. Watch it trend. We will see big corrections. Yeah, look at where this is headed. Like, okay now. Let's not copycat the icon model, or yeah, icon.
David, Tropical Tidbits has a few more frames on the Canadian.
Yeah, I see that. I got that already. So let's see where this is going. Let's make our vector. Oh gosh, it's headed right for the southeastern Bahama Islands. I swear, if that is matching up with the icon, let's look at the icon 90 hours out. Okay, now the icon's further south than the Canadian, but wow, they are close. They are close. They are definitely close. But that means the icon shifted further to this, south too at the same time versus its previous run was literally right where the Canadian was now. So we got to really keep an eye on this though. Why stronger high pressure system? It's just that's why I'm hoping the models or the aircraft data will be able to correct that. Why is a high stronger? Maybe it's been high the whole time, but models are not seeing it like the GFS. That's why we don't use one model run, or one model run at all. We look at different model runs and different models so we can get a face-to-face value on, okay, if all of the models trended here today, then we're going to slowly move over to this direction with our track guidance. But the ultimate grand finale tonight is going to be up to the artificial intelligence and the European model. Okay, best for last, right? The best for last on everything. GFS is goated. Let's see. Look at though. It's further west. So this westward trend has continued on the GFS. It has continued in the last 3 model runs. You can see it was over here. 12Z, 18Z, it's over here. So it's, again, a little further west. And now over here, a little further west. So it is trending westward gradually. So looks like Bermuda would get tropical storm force winds with winds of about 35 to 40 miles an hour. So overall, the westward trend is still, unfortunately, active. It's really going to be up to that European model, and it's deterministic, and even the Canadian. Oh, nope. Canadian's going north, sharp north turn on the Canadian, but it is further to the west. Further to the west. Yeah, that made a sharp turn to the north. That's not very believable like that, though. It's not really believable. So, yeah. I want to be clear, folks. I saw some of the chats are no fear mongering here. I am forecasting. This is part of forecasting, and we have to make our judgments. Again, I do not think this is going to hit any land areas at all. That's why we have to really watch the models closely. But trends to the west need to be watched. Okay. Because if things do go west still, then that we're not done seeing changes in the direction of where this is going. Is 98L going to do anything? Well, if I didn't point it out, evidently it's not going to do anything. I don't even know why it's even an invest, because there's literally no circulation on this. Literally no circulation. At least on that. Let's see on the icon. Oh, there is a little bit of vorticity right here. That's about it. That really is. But I do appreciate you all being here tonight. Not easy doing this, I'll tell you. Not easy. JJ Sneed actually agrees with me. All models are trending west slightly. That's a better way to put it. Even the GFS, I mean, come on, well, apparently it's the bogus model. Even that trended a little west. You can see it right here. I mean, see it in front of you. It's slow, but it's happening. I mean, boy, last night's 060 run, we were thinking, looks like the eye wall is going to pass right over Bermuda. Yeah, Bermuda. And then tonight's run, boop, well to the west. Yeah, that's only 4 model runs. Yeah, 4 model runs. Not a full 48 hours. And look at how much change we have had since then. So that's why each day is different. That's why we make these videos every day and go live every day if necessary. Because, boy, it's kind of like balancing on a tightrope. You know, you could be well balanced 1 minute and you could fall and tumble 2 seconds later. You know? Oh, looks like the GFS is sniffing and horfing up another storm out there. It looks like in the MDR on this run. Oh, yeah. Yep. Looks like it's trying to do something. See if that actually develops in future frames. But there it is. Man, that's a powerful hurricane. Powerful beast. Oops. There we go. Look at that sucker go. And that's 180 hours. So that's why I can't wait for the aircraft to come fly into this storm tomorrow and give us good data. We really need that. Oops, not in my area. At 5 miles an hour to 45 to 50 miles an hour, Erin. Yep. Every storm starts somewhere, right? All it takes is one little pulse of convection. That's how I think of it. All the way over there in the far eastern African continent in Ethiopia to a system that we are seeing today. What was once just a little burst of upward motion to a little burst of what we're seeing tonight. So far, models have actually hinted at MDR development recently. Yes. So actually, let's look at that. Not on this model. We'll see what the next GFS shows, the 0Z. It is showing something right here, though. A pretty good wind max that is going on. This is going north. Let's see if this is further to the west. And it is. So the trend to the west is being realized. That's the big point here. Okay. We are seeing, look at how notable that is from just last night's model run. That to that on the Canadian. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, well, kind of boom there. But this has trended west. All right, so our GFS is pretty much out of sight, out of mind, since that system is offshore. By the way, if you all haven't been here before, if you're new to the channel and you do like these tropical weather updates, live stream coverage on these tropical systems that we are tracking in real time right now, please subscribe. It really does help out a lot. It really does. Love you guys a lot. Thanks for your awesome support here. Do you think the spot tagged near Mexico in the Gulf is going to turn into anything? I don't think so. I don't think so. There's actually a 10% chance of that even occurring. I am not worried about it. If I worried, I think we would be talking about both systems tonight. But the fact that I'm not talking about it is certainly a good sign. But we're really going to need to watch this latitude line right here. Our system is pretty much down in here right now on our latitude line and moving pretty much to the west. When this starts gaining latitude is going to then, once it starts, we'll be able to make a bit better forecast. But right now, until that westward jog happens, oh yeah, look at, if you look at the, hold on a second. Thank you, Logan, again for the $2 donation, partner. Watch these numbers right here. Watch these numbers. Watch those numbers. Look at the latest, yeah, the latest frames. It has moved a little further south of due west. You look at it very closely, you can see these lines and these numbers going up a little bit. I don't know if that means it's actually moving to the south of due west by a little bit, but the deep convection mass has not gained any latitude. So it's very hard to tell if that has even started to give us some latitude gain here. That is a big burst of thunderstorms right now. And it looks like the center is right underneath this. So it could even be 16 degrees north in latitude right now. So it might have lost some latitude, which means everything for this system. If it did, yeah, GFS initialized it quite well there. Oh, looks like that system's going bye-bye. Getting all smushed up. Getting all smushed up. Like a sandwich. And look at that puppy up there. Look at that puppy. Pretty big. Look at that beast. That is a 935 millibar exotropical cyclone. That is a monster. Now look at that. Look at the transition there. Barrel clinic. Barrel clinic-y. At work. Look how amazing that is. You can see your front like a supercell. It really is beautiful to see those transition. Warm front here, cold front back in here. You still got your warm core that is still in place. That is amazing to see on the model. And yeah, there is your warm core right there. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. You can even see it at 700 millibars. Even 500 millibars. Wow, this is a very warm core. Yeah, look at that, man. That is quite amazing. That is a very warm core system at 300 millibars. In fact, your temperatures at that level are literally 0 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a very warm core system. And that is why it is so intense. I mean, that's a 131 mile an hour hurricane, category 4 on the GFS. Gosh, how far west this gets is going to be absolutely essential. Okay, you're still too far east, Canadian, but we'll see with what the European model shows. We will see what the European model indicates. Oh yeah, let's look at the upper dynamics, huh, on our Halves A model. I don't think you want to see this. Which, by the way, the Halves B, or Halves B, that is, didn't do so well at initializing our convection. Let's see if the Halves A did better. Not by much. Actually, I think it did good. Actually, it didn't do bad, so. So here's the Halves A. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, there's your eye trying to form. And then there's your donut. Yes, Nick. What is it, Nick? Man, we're almost up to 500 likes in this live stream. So hit that like button if you haven't already. And also subscribe.
I think Nick's wanting to know when the Euro is going to come out.
Oh, the Euro is not going to come out, unfortunately, for about another 50 minutes or so. Actually, I might end this a little earlier because I want to save that for my next update. And well, I'll make an update in the morning anyways because our hurricane models will come out. So I'll probably wait for the Euro anyways because I'm going to be making a video tonight and having that out at like 3 in the morning. We are going to do a double header again. Looks like a face. Does it look like? I don't think it looks like a face. Looks like a whirlpool though. And that is a very intense system. I'm telling you. Wow, that water vapor does really well, though. Dang. Love ya, Halves A. You're amazing. Matthew looked like a skull. Milton looked like a supercell is what Milton looked like for a little bit. So we'll just have to wait. I know, waiting is just the life of waiting for models. It's just the life of forecasting. But you know, that's the best for last. You know, that's the exciting part. There's a system there. Yep. That will be something. That will be something to watch. Further south.
The Havsby has started rendering on Tropical Tidbits.
Oh, okay. We got the Havsby now on Tropical Tidbits. So, all right. We got some entertainment. Well, somewhat entertainment. We don't want this thing to hit any land at all. But we do need to get the latest information, shall we? So we got to wait for our next model. And the 0Z is coming in right now. Where did it initialize this? Where did it initialize? Let's take a look. Yup, right where I thought it was. Right where I thought. Further south. Further south, this actually is. So right near that 16-degree north in latitude. That really matches with what we are seeing exactly. Did really well. Did very well at initializing. Yeah, 48 almost. Maybe a little off by a hair. So is this further? Let's see. So there's your 16-degree north. Pay attention to that right there. Yup, it's further south. It's further south. Yep. Euro is further south. Not Euro. Havsby. Sorry, my brain. Pretty much in the same spot now. In the first 12 hours. Hasn't moved. Pressure's up a little bit more. Feeling that realization, probably. Realizing that the system is actually not going to be as strong in the short term as what models thought before.
Havs A and HMON have started.
Havs A is now coming in. All right, let's look at our Havs A. Okay. Havs A. Yep. Pretty much in the same spot on the Havs A. So both initializations were successful on this group. So this is going to be very important on Do you have any buttons when the storm gets serious? Unfortunately, I don't. You choice to make? Your choice to make, yeah. No, I don't. Hey, Raptor, localizer in California. Been hot, hasn't it? Havsby starts out between 16 and 17 north. Yes, about that. Which is pretty spot on. What's up? Romsic, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. If you haven't been here yet, please subscribe. Boy, I just realized we are closing in on 50,700. Almost 50,700. It's like just A day ago, I was barely at 50K, so thank you guys. Can you go ahead on the halves models? Yes, they're rendering right now. They're rendering as we speak. We are at hour 0 on the halves A, and we are at hour 12 on the halves B right now. So this is the latest frame that you're looking at. So we'll wait for that to come in. Ever slow, patiently. Okay, our Canadian model has finished rendering, has another spin up here potentially. We'll have to watch that, and then maybe more activity behind that. I'm rendering also. Oh, all right. Fujiwara with 98L. 98L is way over there in the Gulf of America. David, do you see the Typhoon and Powell tweet of it looking interesting to say the least? You know, I did see some tweets about that. It's not very organized as it was earlier. Definitely producing a lot of deep convection there for a second. Yeah, that's just to the west of Taiwan. They're about to get their fair share of increase in typhoon activity in the next couple of weeks because of the MJO. And then it's our turn again by mid-September. I believe in mid-September, we're going to have another burst of activity. As the MJO swings into our favor again. All right, this is gaining latitude. Okay, this is further north. Further north on the halves B. This will be our ultimate decider here if this, how far west this actually gets. Yep, 15 north went further south, so this is further north on the halves B. But not much change made on the halves A. Still with its initialization in the same spot. We'll have to wait for more frames to come in. We are less than an hour away from our halves A, or not halves, oh my gosh, our APHIS model. Our artificial intelligence and the grand finale of all time, the European model. Oh. Let's see, this is further south, or yeah, further north. We're waiting for more coming in. Come on, tropical tidbits. You're probably slower. The halves A, halves B, halves A, halves B. Okay, we're a little further out on Weather Bell. Not so far out yet, yeah, on halves A. Well, I pay more. I pay like $30 a month on Weather Bell, and yet they don't have their data sooner than Tropical Tidbits. That's why we all like Tropical Tidbits. Give a shout out to Levi Cowan over there. I've been using his website for a while too. We're going on 9 or 10 years since he actually started the website, I believe. What's up, Big Red? What was your question? What was your question? Yeah, ask me a question. We'll be happy to answer you over here. What website am I using? I'm using Tropical Tidbits. We're waiting for our latest models to come in. Mods. Easy, are you there?
I'm not seeing anything in chat.
All right, just keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Yep, I'm still live streaming here for a while. We're waiting for our grand finale model to come in, our European. Once that is in, we will show it to yas. Look at though. Halves A. Where did our tropical storm? Well, I think it, no, it did it pretty well. So this storm is underperforming. Apparently, well, we look at our 12Z, it showed a tropical storm, and then recently, so it's actually doing about as expected in the last couple of runs. At least on that, let's look at our other halves group, see where we're at. Oh yeah, this is further north, big time on halves B. Halves B is further north. But wait, someone said trending west. Oh, so it is trending faster. Okay, I didn't even see. I didn't even pay attention to the longitude. So, yeah, so it is going faster to the... It's moving faster, essentially. But it's maybe a hair west, just a hair west. But the halves A is a little further to the northeast versus the halves B. Euro is the leader. Or wait. GFS and Icon are his followers. Hilarious. Yeah, the Euro comes first. Then it's going to be the Arctic. Well, I'm in the middle with AI. But if you did solely rely on AI, it would be second. GFS tied in second. Canadian third. And Icon in third place. It's like all of them are pretty good, but the GFS needs to get a better life, you know? I don't even want to say it's an acronym, but you guys can probably guess what GFS stands for. I'll give you the first one. Go. And I won't say the last two, because I don't want to be cussing over here on the stream. Oh, someone's got it. Someone figured it out. I'm guessing. MO, yeah. Oh, Nick probably knows what I was about to say there, but I'll give you a hint. Nope. Nope. It's not go freaking sleep. Nope. Nope. No, Matt. No. I can't cuss. There's two bad words in it. The first one's go, two bad words. Global fake system. No, it's none of that. You guys can't even get the answer. But yeah, let's stick to the topic. Let's stick to the topic here, attracting the tropic. That deep convection is holding off. Looks like the system's kind of sheared though. still kind of sheared. Has a Category 5 ever hit the East Coast before? I don't think so. Which is why, man, if this is even a Category 4 and he hits the East Coast, this would be really bad. This would be bad. You don't want to know how bad it would be. What was your reaction with Hurricane Hillary? Because you live in California. I'll tell you what, we had an overnight low of 77 degrees, actually 75 degrees. It was really muggy. It literally felt Florida-like. It literally did. It was just yucky feeling. We had some thunderstorms, just some minor ones like towards our east and stuff. And it got windy, a little windy. It just felt like a winter storm, only it was in August. That's the thing. It was only in August, not in December. That's kind of what it felt like. But I was like, I felt special because I was like, man, we're actually getting a tropical system. Like everyone over here in California was like, whoa, we were all freaking out. Like, wow. I remember looking at those images. You could find it here on my YouTube channel if you scroll way back, and you can see Hillary, and I ran through the hurricane models, and I remember the hurricane model was like right over my area. I'm like, I'm actually being viewed, my location, from a hurricane model. That must mean a tropical system is not far from us. Could this system get pulled a little further south? Sure, with the shear that's going on, just a little bit of shear. This is gaining latitude as of Thursday late morning. Apparently. But models are all faster. They're all faster, so I don't think a northerly shift has really occurred. Only on the halves A, it's further to the northeast, but not on the halves B. But this system looks weaker on the halves A and the halves B. On both of them. So I think that's probably what we're going to end up seeing. Is that this is going to end up going slightly further to the west because it's weaker, which is what we don't want to see. Satellite does not show any northerly turn. Not yet. Man, this is going to really matter, though. This is going to matter a whole lot. Because in theory, if once it approaches about 48 degrees west, yep, there it is. There's 48 degrees west. It is supposedly going to make that turn kind of like that. Something in, yeah, maybe a little bit more steeper, maybe like that from like 48 degrees. So it should. So if we wake up in the morning and this still is further to like right around this latitude line, that means it's further south and further west. Yeah, I'm in California. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast. That's what makes me very unique because, I mean, most YouTubers, if they do stream on this, they'll go to bed at like, say, maybe 1 or 2 in the morning. And here it is like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, my time. So me going to bed at like 3 in the morning, it would be like 6 in the morning back east. That is why, Easy, I think this is the best time to promote on what our plans are if a hurricane or tropical storm makes landfall in the United States or the Caribbean.
I think it's a great time to promote it, actually.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna be streaming.
Can you
for,
talk a little louder
you
so
know,
people could actually hear? Sorry.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. So, we are going to be streaming for 36 hours, 24, 36 hours, live landfall coverage of, we're going to have this whole system set up. I mean, probably the best coverage out there. We have multiple members on our team. We have Nate over here. This guy is committing, he wants to go out into the storm and, feed us some live coverage is what he's saying. So, I mean, uh, I think this guy deserves some credit over here for even, you know, trying to do something like that. Because heck, I wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't do that. But Nate over here, he's a madman, but he will. Um, yeah, but we're gonna have the best coverage. We're gonna be streaming 24/7. Uh, during landfall. So special. Just tune in, please. Tune in. You'll see how special this can get.
Yeah, again, we will actually have a storm chaser on my live stream going in there and actually getting into the eye of a hurricane. So it's a matter of time, it's up to nature, We don't want to do that because if we have to live stream 48 hours or 36 hours, that means devastation. We do not want devastation at all. We do not. So yeah, there is a lot of deep convection, and it does not look like this has gained latitude at all. Very hard to tell if it has. The deep convection really tells us an idea. And this is going to be very important every witching passing hour with this thing. The further south this or west this gets. So in theory, if the ball of convection is over here, okay, by tomorrow morning, that's definitely significant. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that really is. And that's going to really affect how much latitude will this gain before it reaches the islands. Is Virginia in the clear? It's very hard to say if Virginia is in the clear right now. It's going to be a close one. It really is. But yeah, if this is down in here, somewhere in here, that's going to make a big difference. We really need to watch this. We really have to. And that's why I am desperate for aircraft data. I really want aircraft data in this. So we could actually get a center and get some actual data fed into the models. It's like, can they get in there right now? Can they fly in? I'll tell you though, look at the difference on the halves B now. Look how much weaker this is. Look at this. 111 knots in 45 hours. 60 knots, barely 60 knots in the latest model. Yeah, see, what did I tell you? I didn't feel very confident. Does weaker go west? At this point, it could. It could go west, further west. Oh, wow. This is much faster. Way faster on this run. The halves B going crazy. This is further north. Yep, this is further north. Actually, pretty much directly north. But I'm really looking at short-term motions over actual model data at this point until the aircraft get in there. Tomorrow, 0Z. So that would be 5 o'clock my time is when they are going to be flying into the system. And you know what? That means when I make a video in the morning, I will be able to get that on live stream. We will be able to stream tomorrow at around 3 o'clock or we'll probably go live at about 4 and stream until about 5:30. Hey, David, can I answer questions on... Oh, yeah, you could answer, yeah. On aircraft data, yes, Nate, you can. Absolutely.
Hey, everybody. So, yeah, I've been seeing a lot of questions regarding aircraft recon missions into Hurricane or Tropical Storm Erin right now. There is no plan for them to fly into the hurricane tomorrow. There
Wait.
is plans made for the 16th at 00Z for there to be a recon mission into her. Mostly why we can't just fly them all the way out right now is honestly consumption. Fuel consumption is honestly the big player here. You got to get close enough so you can make accurate full passes before you run out of fuel. So that's the main reason why it takes so long. And I think David showed in the earlier part of the stream that I think the first one starts the 16th of or the 16th
15th.
0Z.
It's the 15th.
Is it the 15th?
Yeah, so it says here, begin 6 hourly fixes on Tropical Storm Erin at 15. So that's the day of the, that's August 15th at 0Z, near 17.8 north, 51.3 west.
Okay, yeah, I was using something else then that till 16th, so that is my bad, everybody. But yeah, pretty much fuel consumption is the main thing. But yes, there is already an aircraft in Barbados to be relocated to Barbados as well for the storm.
Nate, I think your sensitivity is turned up on your mic because you keep cutting out a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll re-say that again.
Yeah, so no, you'll have to, if you go to your user settings, you can change the sensitivity of your mic, actually. If you go to voice and video, then you scroll all the way down, input sensitivity, you could actually change it.
How's that for you, David?
So far, so good. Yeah. That way you don't cut out sometimes because... Yeah, see, someone said,
Okay,
please repeat that.
Yes, so I will repeat that. Again, I was wrong with the 16th. I was looking at a different website. There are currently one of the Hurricane Hunters in Barbados right now. There is an open flight plan that I was able to see because I have special access to that stuff.
Yes.
That is planning on taking off later tonight, right now, to Barbados. And that's pretty much it.
So now I have a question about their flight plans. Why do they make this alpha flight pattern? They'll go fly in either from the southwest, the northwest, or the northeast, and then do this triangle like in 4 quadrants. Like, why is that? Why can't they just do it differently?
It's just so that's going to cover the most area of this. Because fuel burn is a it is a big factor because when you're flying into a headwind, you're flying into a tailwind. So those triangles just help break up the system into, equal quadrants, I guess is what you would say. and therefore easier to, I guess, pinpoint where things are.
Makes sense. That aircraft data is going to be so important. It's going to be like food for us as weather forecasters. You know, we need the food, we need the data, and that will hopefully bring an end to all of this chaos in the modeling world, where one model is doing this, the other model is doing that. And still happens tonight on our 0Z hurricane models. So, yeah. By the way, if you all are enjoying the live coverage here as our hurricane models are coming in, along to go with our European grand finale is only 15 to 20 minutes away. Please slap and punch the subscribe button. Hit that bell notification icon to get my daily tropical weather updates and also to get my live streams when we do go live, as Easy said, for up to 36 plus hours if needed during extreme hurricane landfalls or tropical systems. And also share like as well. Okay, what do we have here? Islands. Uh-oh, the islands are still on this map. That's not good. You can still see the islands there on the map, which means it's a little close. But, oh, this is actually further south. Oh, wait, no. It's slower, isn't it? Wait. Interesting. Might be further north. Interesting. Really strange. And it does barely show a hurricane here, so there could be shifts, rapid shifts. Yeah, there is 60 west. So in theory, once we get 62 west in there, this is going to be very close. And there is 18 west. Here is 18 west. So that's where all the islands. So the islands would be here. So this is still going to be close. Close call. Close call. Yeah, we'll see how our models end up tonight. But really, it's going to be up to that Euro. Models in general did shift west tonight. The GFS did overall just a little bit. The Icon certainly did. The Canadian certainly did. So we'll see about our hurricane models. That's the only group that has not really shifted much to the west. Yeah, the islands are going this way. Wait, hold on. Where are they moving? Come on. Yeah, so the islands are moving this way, which means this is going pretty dang close. Not really gaining latitude very quickly. Now, what are your thoughts about this, Nate? Do you think that aircraft data will certainly help these hurricane models and all of the other models come into better agreement? I'm hoping. I'm sure, because I just said that. That's what we absolutely need.
Oh, absolutely, David. There's absolutely nothing better than getting in real science data from outside. We're going to start seeing a lot more agreements once we actually start collecting this data. There's a reason why we put so many, this isn't political or anything, so many taxpayer dollars into these because they are truly life-saving and they use generational technology that we couldn't even imagine. and it keeps everybody here safe.
Yeah. So we really will need a... Must be a lot of money to send one airplane in there, though. Tell you. We are about 20 or about 10 minutes away. 10 minutes away from our European artificial intelligence model from being released. I'm really curious where this is going to end up going. I'm really wondering. You guys have been very patient. Very patient. I'll tell you, though, there is the 18Z run, and then look at this. Another hurricane. Another hurricane. And then another one. AI is on AI stuff. I can go to sleep for an hour. Last 30 minutes has Erin still going west. Yeah, Erin has not gained latitude. Has not gained latitude at all. Right? Can you confirm that, Easy and Nate? I don't think it has, right?
I don't think it has either currently from what you're showing. Easy has stepped aside from the stream real fast, just to let you know. So if you do call upon him, he may not be able to answer right away. But yes, I'm with you, David.
All right. Yeah, this has not gained latitude. The deep area of convection is riding along that 16-degree north latitude line. It has not gained anything. Yeah, they'll fly the C-130 in there. The CJ, the CJW, WC-130. I know my airplanes quite well because, of course, got to learn this stuff sometimes when you're tracking. So based off the new model data, is the Continental High suppressed to build and lead Erin closer to the continental United States? Would love an analysis of all the trends. So this is what we have tonight on the latest on the European ensemble. So if we look at 5 days out, the high, the weakness here is about the same. It hasn't changed, but we will wait for the ensembles to come out. That'll be for my morning video, though, because those won't be out until like midnight. But yes, the GEFS ensemble is really... Oh, and the 0Z is out. Oh my gosh, loud motorcycle. You have to drive your motorcycle this late at night. Literally, idiots. Yeah, car alarm going off. That was a loud motorcycle. Yeah, so the GEFS ensemble has the high a little stronger and a little further to the west. Yeah, you can see it right here, but this is really what is complicating the forecast. Right in here, this lane. It's like, this shouldn't even be here in the first... it should be to allow the system to go out, right? But like, man, so much sensitivity here. They need to get the G4 aircraft out in this, though. But there has been a general trend to the west with our ensembles. Most of them have trended west. And we're just going to have to wait for the Euro and in the artificial intelligence. That's going to be our ultimate decider factor. And we're waiting. We'll see this out in about 5 or so minutes. Our artificial intelligence model will be there. And it's going to render in like 5 or 10 minutes. It's not a long render process at all. It will be done pretty dang quickly. I want to thank you all for waiting here, though, patiently for this. So this is further to the northeast, but it's weaker. It is actually weaker, which really does not make logical sense. It does have a hurricane, though. And this is weaker, trended weaker, a lot weaker. Yeah, this is further north. Oh, wait. Still, yeah, further northwest. Faster, that means. But I'm really interested on that Euro. That's going to be our ultimate decider. Our ultimate brain of the computer over here. Man, that would be scary to live out in the middle of the Atlantic and you get same system twice. Okay, we should see model this coming in about 4 or 5 minutes. 4 or 5 minutes until the artificial intelligence comes in. By the way, we are 3 subscribers away from 700. So thank you guys for supporting. Hasn't been easy tonight. Sitting here for almost 3 hours. And boy, when I saw the southern trends, that's why I was like, yeah, we're going to have to go live. Remember last night I was thinking, we may not go live. I don't think I will, but yeah, because of the models went a little surprise on us. Yeah, that's what happens. That's how uncertain and unpredictable things are. But we'll see how close this gets. Again, trends further to the west are still possible in these outlooks, in these hurricane models. So the NHC got 46, so 47 is about here. Yeah, supposedly it's supposed to gain a little bit of latitude on the NHC right here. And it has not quite done that. I mean, if this gets to about here and goes west, or even drifts a little bit, that's going to be really different. That's going to make it. That's what I love about forecasting. All right. Here we go. 2 minutes. We will get the new update. New update coming in. NHC is pulling way far too west. Really? You think so? It's too far west? I think, well, they're going to be generous. That's why they have the cone of uncertainty right here. This cone of uncertainty tells us that it's where the center could go. So it could go over here. It can go over here, over here, over here, or I mean, it could be within this cone or even outside of the cone. So we can see this drift a little further west like we have on the icon model. David, do you like hurricanes, tornadoes? I like hurricanes and tornadoes as long as they don't hurt anybody. They're kind of that type of nature's wonders when they're watched from a distance. So like if we have a hurricane out there in the middle of the Atlantic and it's a Cat 5, we could sit back and be like, man, you're a beast. But when it hits someone, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. It's awful. It's terrible. Yeah, I think something is wrong with our, 60 hours though. What did it call for 60 hours on the NHC though? Let's go over here with its complete discussion. Yeah, see 110 miles per hour in 60 hours. So I wonder if the hurricane models did not initialize properly. I don't know. Because, man, they're not bringing this up. 75 hours out in 3 days. The NHC does call for a major hurricane, while these models are not showing a major hurricane. None of these are. And it's very symmetrical, the wind field, so there's no vertical wind shear. Let me check relative humidity. I wonder if there's just so much dry air. I think that's what it is. See here. A vertical wind shear is supposed to decrease, but when that happens is going to be very important. It is not strengthening very fast on both of these models tonight. Quite interesting on the halves. And this is 90 knots in 75 hours versus, well, even in the last run, it was not so strong. So actually, it's probably about as where it should be. This was a run that was really aggressive. So this one went from 103 knots to 80 knots, which seems a little bit more realistic and acceptable at this time. See? Gotta trust me, folks. You gotta trust me because, I mean, the way it looks, you have to now cast and then forecast. I mean, do you see a Cat 1 hurricane in 36 hours, you know? Should New York City be worried? No. New York City should not be worried yet. The areas that I'm really worried about is pretty much from about southern Maryland, so like southern Chesapeake Bay, all the way down here to about Savannah, Georgia. This whole area, not Savannah, well, on the border. Wilmington is up here, but you get the idea, like Myrtle Beach down here. In this little box is where I would be a little bit more worried, because if this does get close enough, it could mean the difference between tropical storm force winds and no tropical storm force winds. By the way, thank you for the $10 donation. When we get recon, the models are gonna change dramatically. Big Red, yeah, that's what we're hoping. Changing in the right direction, as in like going further east and away from land. So, but we will need to wait for that. And also, I don't know, maybe they will. They're gonna fly the Gonzo aircraft, which is the upper level drop zone mission. They fly at like 48,000 feet. 48,000 feet, that is. And they'll do drop zones. And so they're going to see how strong that ridge is to the north. And see if they can find the actual steering patterns. Because that's going to be very important with the system. We should be getting our artificial intelligence model very soon here. Is it actually on here? I think it should be. Yep.
Hey, David, I just wanted to let you know I did see the APHIS model.
Oh, don't
It
tell
came
me.
down
Don't
to
tell me.
950 millibars and a near miss off Carolina.
Off what? No, I'm looking at it here. It is further to the east. Hello? Nate? Hello? Hello? All right. They went silent. All right. So he said it was a near miss. I'm not seeing that. It's way further. It went much further east. So there is still disagreement in tonight's model runs. Still the Icon being the closest one. So good news on the artificial intelligence. It is actually right where that GFS is. All right, let's see now. Yup. European is further to the east. So there was an even tonight, a tiebreaker. Yup. Yup. Actually, a little further west. A little further west. And let's really see where this goes. You know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to look at the steering flow on the operational model, and let's see with what we have here. So let's look at the next 6 hours. Yet again, this ridge is a little stronger. That ridge is a little stronger. Well, initially, I guess. So that's going to affect. Let's go to the next 60 hours. See what's going on here. Okay, this trough is moving through faster. This trough is moving through faster than prior runs. Here comes the next trough over Hudson Bay, right up here. So then there's your system. So we're going to need to see what this ridge does if it kind of backs quickly like that. However, this trough down here, though, is a little further to the south at the same time, while this little guy is a little faster. That's deeper, I think, isn't it? Oh, it's deeper. So it's not any different. This high is a little further to the north. Little further to the north. Our system's a little weaker on the Euro. And the Euro thinks this thing is not going to get too strong. Quite a change. This is still further west. Yeah, look at the difference. This system's a little faster. A little faster to move out of the way. So what ends up happening is that okay. This trough is a lot deeper right here. A lot deeper. So this thing is going to go out to sea, it looks like. Think we got our answer. This is going to go further east. Yep. I think it's going to go further east on this model run. So I'll ask you guys. Do you guys think I should make a video in the morning, like at 3, and have it out at 3 in the morning? What are your guys' thoughts? What are the Deep Mind model? Deep Mind has come out, I think. Nope, it has not. The Deep Mind model hasn't. Yes, please. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So there's overwhelming yeses, so we'll have to do that then. I wanted to just ask because... yeah. Oh. Oh. Is that trough not as amplified? No, it is. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. With that trough a little further south, man, the timing could be just perfect to get this thing out of the way, to find that steering current. Yep, looks like it's going to find its way out to sea, which is good. The way it looks, though, looks very, very yucky looking. I don't like the way that looks. I really don't. Euro could do a little bit better than that. The GFS being a lot more aggressive, though. It is still going north, so... it is a little further to the... east. Yes, even that ridge tries to build in. Yeah, that high is a lot weaker. However, compared to last night's 0Z Euro, system is still overall to the west, or to the west, that is. But wow, this is very important right here. When this ridge builds in right here is going to really influence how much can this go west and then back out. It is going to be a close call. Because the ridge is building to the north of this. That's what it looks like on this model, is it looks like it's building. It's building. Not as strong as it was the last run. Man, if the timing is a little off, that would make the difference. Hasn't made that curve out, though. It still could get really close. Really, really close. Actually, you know what? It's only a little bit. It's only a little bit further to the east by a hair. Yeah, I'm going to watch this. Let's see how this ends up going. Yeah, they don't know what to do. They really don't. The icon's further west. The Euro's further about the same-ish. GFS overall is a little further west. Yeah, I know. Dr. Morris, yes. That is why, I mean, I thought the same thing. I'm like, man, this is actually, we have a pretty good forecast that this is actually going to go out to sea. Because they were so consistent. Then wonk wonk, all the models went west this morning and this afternoon. And I'm like, yeah, actually, we need to talk about this still for sure. I do not agree with the Euro on intensity, though. I think it's going to be a lot stronger than 97 miles an hour. We could all agree on that one. Okay, this is actually bending back a little bit. Oh, gosh. Don't you dare tell me this is going to get closer to Cape Hatteras. Man, that's going to be close. Wow, if this does not turn, if it goes this way and then turns sharply like that, woo, it is going to be knife edge. It's going to be on a knife edge. Double-edged sword right there. That is why, man, timing, dude. Timing. Excuse me. Timing is everything with this system right now. If that trough, I'll tell you, if this trough right here is not as amplified and gets out of the way faster, and this trough, which most likely it's going to get out of the way faster, and it has time for this ridge to bend or to back build west very fast to close down this lane of opportunity, I mean, we could see very wild outcomes here on models. We can see a system that does this, and it's going to be wild. It's going to be everything with that with this ridge here and your low up over here. How quick players on the field are everything right now. Man, I'm pretty concerned about this because that is going to be pretty dang close. That is going to be a close call. All right. Euro finally decides, okay, we're going to turn now, so that's good. It looks like it is a lot further to the east. A lot further to the east on this run. But that may not be the case tomorrow. We are seeing all things all over the place. And I am very, very... I mean, something might be wrong with the Euro on this. That is very, very generous. That's barely a hurricane in 7 days. Barely a hurricane in 7 days. versus the last run had 102 miles an hour. I do not know if the Euro initialized. There might have been an issue with all the models tonight initializing. Because that does not look very realistic. That really doesn't. I mean, you got like barely hurricane force winds, and we know for a fact this is going to be a major hurricane over here. Man, we are going to need to wait for those aircraft. Aircraft are going to need to fly into this for sure tomorrow, which they are. And we should hopefully see better corrections. That is the goal. That is the goal in all of this. Okay. Halves B is very aggressive, which I strongly believe here. In about 4 days, this is going to be a major hurricane with 140 mile an hour winds. Makes pretty good sense on the halves B. Let's see what the halves A shows. Halves A is very similar, only a little bit further to the north, with winds of about 140 miles an hour. It is actually stronger. It is stronger on this run. And only a little bit to the north.
Have you looked at the H wharf?
H wharf? Oh, shoot. I forgot about the H wharf. We skipped over the H wharf like it did not even exist. I'm sorry. I'm focused only on a couple of models when there's really 4. Yeah, wow, that H wharf wants about a category high in 3, low in 4. See what the H mon shows. Yeah, this gets pretty dang close. Pretty dang close to the eye. You know what? Let me see this on, because it's zoomed out a little bit more on Weather Bell. I want to just see how close this gets. Yeah, of course, they don't have those out yet. Like, come on, Weather Bell. I'm literally paying $30 a month, and their data is so delayed. I mean, this has fully gotten done on Tropical Tidbits almost. Okay, that's a 932 millibar. That's actually, is that deeper? Yes, it is deeper on the halves B. Yup, we got a deeper system. Winds peak at about 125 knots. So that is, let's see, knots to miles per hour, knots to miles per hour. 145 miles an hour. Yeah, so there is intensity, rapid intensification still seen on these hurricane models. So I think the Euro is a little too conservative with its intensity. And we're just going to really have to wait until tomorrow night how things play out. See how much stronger this actually gets. I'm very curious about this. Now, I'm not saying it's trash, but I think its initialization was, I mean, come on. You tell me. I mean, guidance is very consistent at showing a hurricane out here somewhere in the Atlantic. Where is our cat? I mean, it's predicting a Cat 1 hurricane. So, Euro being really generous. Conservative, I meant. Have an air. They have the storm right about now moving north, and it hasn't. Yeah, well, we wake up tomorrow. Let's make this clear. If I wake up tomorrow morning at like 11 in the morning and this thing is over here where I circled in and it has not gained, if not lost latitude a little bit, that's going to change everything. That is going to change everything. But if it's over here, like if it's roughly in this area, that's a little shallow. We want the system to start moving generally this direction. That's the goal. Pretty much 50 degrees is our benchmark. Then it's 55 degrees north. Not 55 degrees north. 50 west and 55 west. Yeah, we rarely use latitude and longitude, but this time it really matters. All right. Okay, all right. H-Wharf is done. Our halves is not. Man, the halves really takes forever to render. Okay, we're down at 928 millibars and a wind of 138.2 knots. That's a Category 5. Category 5 on the halves B model. And yes, those are the islands right here. There are the Bahama Islands. There are the Bahama Islands. You can see right here. Boom, 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 boom. Right there. Hey, interesting. How are you? Yeah, this is interesting. Similar to Hurricane Lee. Yeah, pretty much. I want to ask you all this. For all of you that are watching, where do you think... I want you to do some quick homework. Look at the satellite imagery. I think this is moving due west still. What are your guys' thoughts? Look at the satellite imagery here really quickly on my stream. And actually, we'll look at this because this kind of tells you right here. Definitely west. All right. So it has not gained latitude by any means. No latitude gain at all. It's moving west. So no latitude gain at all. That's going to be very important. If this does not gain latitude by tomorrow morning when I wake up, not your morning when you wake up, but my morning when I wake up, which would be about 10 or 11, because I'll be going to bed very late tonight so I can get that YouTube video out. In fact, we're going to end it here once it halves, if they can get their butt rolling. Actually, I'll probably end it now anyways, because I have to start working on that then. Let me see the euro one last time. And let's see. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, so nothing out there beyond Erin yet. All right. If you guys did enjoy tonight's live stream on the information that I did provide you all on Tropical Storm Erin, I will be releasing a video at 3 in the morning Pacific Daylight Time. We'll be working on that here in a couple of hours. Got to get something to eat. Got to get some coffee and, you know, get some energy because I will be up probably until about 3:30. Share this, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if we have to, depending on trends, we will be going live tomorrow afternoon at about 3. Actually, we probably will end up going live because Recon is going out there, but it won't be probably as long as tonight's stream because I do have church tomorrow night and I got to get my work schedule for next week. If possible, I would like to discuss joining team. Logan, yeah. I'll talk to Easy and Nate right after I'm done with this, and maybe you can join briefly and see what you got.
To interrupt, David, but Logan, we do have applications in the description.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So fill out an application, and we will get back to you regarding an interview. The same goes with everyone. If you guys want to be a part of the team, fill out an application. We'll look at it. We'll consider it. We'll have an interview, and you might be the next member of the team.
Absolutely. All right, you guys.
And don't forget to get the merch. The merch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the merchandise. We have merchandise as well. Yeah, you don't want to forget that. Be sure you guys check that out on the channel as well. Just go to my YouTube channel. Go over here. Okay. So it's easy to do. There we go. Go to here, go to store, where it says store. When you get to the homepage, just navigate here, and then this is where you can check out all of our product. Different color shirts. There's pink, there's white, there's black, there's gray, and there's even a mug and a mouse pad where it says David Schlotthauer Storm Chasing. So yeah, it's great. It's great. Got to celebrate. You really do. All right. Well, I think I'm going to sign off for the night because I got to be here. I'll be seeing you guys in a few hours because I think this is worth discussing in a video in the morning. And then we will look into doing a video or live stream tomorrow. No video tomorrow afternoon because aircraft will be flying out and we would like to get that. So yeah, 2 content pieces tomorrow, but make sure you guys subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Well, anyways, I'm going to skedaddle, get out of here and let you guys sleep for a little bit. And I'll be back with you guys tomorrow at 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 3 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Love you guys. Love you guys lots. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's Hurricane Analysis with David Schlotthauer, Tropical Update Live. Peace.